Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to Miss Susan for sitting right there. I mean, the window through which I look reminds me that I'm sitting on my sailboat looking out on the mountain range. 949-837, 949-6990. Start things off with the good friends from the Hope for Today Foundation. About 12:40 or so, get a chance to talk to our friends from Meals on Wheels, and then Dr. Nurse Hazel Brown for Nurses Week at 1 o'clock. That's just my day for the next, 30 minutes. What is your day going to look like? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we got a chance to focus on the great things happening in our community. We start off with a wonderful community continuing initiative in our community, helping rehab, and then we got a chance to focus on our health services. In the studio, as we talk about, class religions as part of the Hope for Today Foundation, continue efforts to bring the community together, to recognize that we're in this together. Mr. Brent Hides, and I don't know whether you want to say his counterpart or his nemesis from the East, Mr. Brent McLean. And then the mediator, the man in the middle, Mr. Frank Cornwall. Gents, I feel almost like Howard Cosell now come into the ring and just, get it on. I won't be like Chuck Hall, nor like Customata, but Brent.
Yeah, truthfully, in here it kind of looks like that. To you're over on one side, and then we're on a round table. Yeah. I'm over on this side, and Brent is over on the other side, and the mediator's in the middle. It really does kind of look like a Howard Cosell thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm thinking either that or we throw out a couple of dominoes and have a quick 6-up. I mean, which one do you want? But before we get Brent Hides into the mix, Mr. Cornwall, I mean, I see you sitting there, and the only thing that I'm glad of is that Adam isn't over here either, because when I see one, I always see the other two of these, massively imposing, almost like, statues and big old fellas, right? From the track, and back. Mr. Cornwall, sports, being actively engaged with the body, keeps the mind sharp. Once the mind is sharp, you recognize the importance of being physical active. And then as, Mr. Hides would come into the fray, this whole issue of community involvement relative to rehabilitation for those of us who have issues with substance, whether it's tobacco, whether it's alcohol, whether it's some other drug, we need to recognize it. We're all in this together.
Yes, we definitely are in this together as a country and as a whole within the communities. And what we're really doing here is bringing the communities together and, enhance and get some of the old guys that been there before to come out and show what they're capable of still doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. And a nice, perfect segue when you said old guys. Brent, he looks to you. Brent Hides, he was thinking of the old guys. Yes. I don't know. This just seems to be a rivalry continuing, man.
I think it's terrific that us as a country and as districts of this beautiful place we call Cayman, that we can recognize the fact that we do have individuals in our community that are struggling with substance abuse issues. And to say it boldly, Cayman is home to many people that struggle with chemical dependency. And until we recognize this issue and take it seriously, it'll only get worse. When we look at the rest of the Caribbean and the role they've played and where they're at today, as far as criminal activity, people just basically being thrown and chucked one side, or people, and I'm not talking about the politicians, I'm just talking about as a country as a whole, just ignored the whole issue.
Yeah. Someone sent me a quote. I just want to share with you because I think this captures a sentiment that we were talking about earlier. It says honesty, equality, kindness, compassion, treating people the way you want to be treated, and helping those in need. I say, to me, those are the traditional values. That's what we're talking about. The idea that in our society, what does it say? There, by the grace of God, go I. It could be us. And whether it's someone that we have been, say, married to, been with, no family member for decades, we recognize that this is a daily walk, and we probably don't appreciate how challenging it is. We may say, with his permission, I share with you a friend who says, whether you're in sobriety for 5 days or 5 years, or you soon will be celebrating 25 years, it is a walk, daily struggle, and we dismiss it. We see the person who is on the street, and we give them one sort of look, but the person who is having a social drink, but every day, all day long, we see them in a different light. But they both have an addiction, Mr. Hydes. It's an addiction.
Of course, we have to look at for what it is. It's not because we see someone out drinking socially, and we think, well, they're out just having a social drink and really having a good time. What we probably don't see is the flip side of their use of alcohol or drugs is when they arrive home, and the people that actually feel it is the people that are closest to them, family members, children, etc. It all goes on behind closed doors, and sometimes a hush-hush. And sometimes we end up with people that are women and men that are so abused by these individuals that they shut down. So we gotta look at it for what it is. It's flip side to it.
Right. I think too we don't equally appreciate the abuse that a person is doing to him or herself.
Exactly.
Yep.
And as I put that in context, the idea that the holiday games, I call them.
Yes.
As much as Mr. McLean was sharing earlier, the older veterans who are still legends in their own minds, right, come out to play.
Actually, in our own minds, we're not legends. We think most of us think we're 16 years old, but we try hard.
Mr. Cornwall, I don't know why. Some people have a vivid imagination, even as good as mine.
I tell you, man.
It's true. Oh, man. But to bring the wider community together, and I think that is the purpose. And as we look at the notion that we can still participate, we can still contribute, we still need to be conscious of what is happening. This is one avenue to look around, and without any stretch, we can see, whoa, I remember, and just quickly be reminded and hopefully be a part of it. Now, for the game, from your perspective, Mr. McLean, come Monday, Discovery Day.
Yeah, come Monday, Discovery Day, 6 p.m. Brent, the other Brent.
The other Brent.
The other Brent.
Not the good-looking Brent.
Well,
oh, he got shy now.
Yeah.
You got cold feet.
Yeah, no. The other Brent is I know this over social media and stuff over the last 6 months or so. Yeah. The other Brent's been beating his chest, and he keep coming on social media and talking about how they put a real for lack of a better word, a real arson on the Georgetown team. So
listen,
Frank,
after trying for 5 years consecutively, you don't think giving up one game is sufficient enough?
Yeah.
So Mr. Cornwall, this was a concession. You just want to pacify him, then?
Just want to pacify him. So
I think Frank has came down with a little touch of amnesia because it was not really one game that we won.
Okay, you won back.
Yeah.
What we established and kept for 5 consecutive.
So then we are getting old when you start developing amnesia.
Yeah. So he was. I Brent was beating his chest so much about how they beat up Georgetown, and they're just moving on to bigger and better things now. So he pretty much said, well, we need some other people to play against because we beat up on Georgetown so much and stuff. That's what I heard out. But
we would have had half a team.
Yeah, yes, but
that's what he said too.
Yeah,
We are half a team.
So therefore he come looking for us, and figure he gonna beat us down too,
It is, despite the aches and pains and the grunts and the groans on the field, it is fun for the players on the field. But for those in the stands or, hopefully like some of us line up on the fence and watch, it is equal fun. It brings back memories, but it also shows how easy it is for community to come together and rally around something, and then to see the bigger picture that this is symbolic of the need to make sure that we are inclusive, be fair, be as equitable as we can to each other.
One of the things that I also would love to see within this is that we start to move the games around to other communities as well. So we get some other communities to share in the light of things, and instead of having it always in Brent's backyard.
We see he can't go far. See,
I mean, the truth is, we did go to East End one time, I think, but about a year ago. And in truth and fact, even before we came on the air, Brent did say to me, let's see if we can arrange to take it back up to East End. Obviously, in East End, we had a little issue with changing rooms and stuff, and we got to figure out how to sort that out. I mean, with that said, I'm sure Frank is probably going to say, well, bring it Georgetown. Let's do it in Georgetown.
I wasn't really going to say that, but what I really was going to say is that it seems like
certain man keeps
like
it down.
He already started feel defeat.
Yeah,
that he's gonna have to come back to East End to try and win it to carry it back to West Bay.
Yeah, you don't want to go back down Georgetown Road. Is that what you're saying? And you don't want to come Georgetown with
gentlemen. Just to put everything in a nutshell, there's one thing I love is a good challenge. I love a good challenge. And Frank, if it takes us coming to Georgetown to give you a proper tally album like we did the last time, we'll do that. And if we got to go to East End to give Brent a proper tally album, we'll do that.
But here's something I want to. If it's logistically possible, we can find the finances and the like. We have a wonderful facility on the BRAC, just recently christened and the like. We know that it's a very inclusive endeavor. Frank, 3 offices arranged, and then we take it over to the BRAC, and we use a Cayman Select with the BRAC.
And that's very thoughtful. That's a good idea.
Good thought. Yeah. I agree. Totally agree.
Something that we should look into and see how we can possibly make it happen.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think at one point we did reach out to the minister, and we were talking briefly about trying to get a team down from the BRAC to participate in these events. I mean, we talk about what people kind of look at me, what I've accomplished, but it wasn't what I have accomplished. It's what we as a community has accomplished when we recognize the fact that we could come out and just kick a little football, provide some food for the community, provide bunks and castles for those families that sometimes can't afford a bunks and castle, so their children can come out, the whole family can come out and just enjoy the afternoon and be entertained. Just to highlight, Dwayne, I was talking to Brent briefly. One of the highlights probably will be of this event. We're planning on putting together a wheelbarrow race. So if you feel like you have a wheelbarrow, you, Sterling Dwayne, has a wheelbarrow.
And you flat.
Grease it up.
I hope you're not carrying in about in the wheelbarrow. You run it straight, right?
No, man. No, man. You're supposed to bring your girlfriend or your wife.
We can't bring both.
No.
Right, I don't think we got insurance.
No.
No insurance for that at all.
No, but we can. You see, we don't really need insurance. What we need is a waiver. You make some kind of waiver that the foundation will not be responsible for.
Oh boy!
But we got to recognize Frank. When we did have the 100-meter dash, he made me look kind of ashamed.
Kinda.
Like stop almost.
Yeah. I saw the video of that, right? Yeah. And I thought that you were going in reverse and he was going forward. But somebody said it wasn't you.
Yeah. But we also, we also willing to challenge him again.
No, but this
that's you, boy, Brent. You're not giving up. Right?
And for the wider community who hasn't come out, I know Monday is Discovery Day. It's a very significant day as we celebrate the holidays go. But the date itself, the event is important. And it truly is a community event. There's some food provided.
Yes.
There's the games itself. There's the fellowship, and there is this banter. And that is the fun part, because Brent, you probably, more than anybody else, this jovial, big life, full of life, where it's about promotion and celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Not self-promotion, but promotion and celebration. And the community doesn't appreciate sometimes those, who are struggling every day. And this is a good way for them to reconnect and to be reminded that they're not alone.
Exactly.
And for us who don't know, to reach and say, well, I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what you can do with a little bit of information. So, from Monday, what time?
Well, what I also want to do, I'm still doing before time catches up with me.
Yeah, I was laughing too much.
I really want to thank the Speaker of the House.
Yes.
McKeever Bush. I want to thank Mr. Marcus Cumber for actually putting their name to putting their name to this event. Because first of all, we talk about the game and we talk about all the stuff that we do, but first of all, we got to recognize that talking about recovery at our dining room table is not a popular subject. This is not a popular subject. So we got to look at when you find individuals that are well known in the community. Take the politics side out of everything. But when you get individuals in our community, they're willing to put their names to stuff like this. We really have to take our hats off to them, because this is not one of those conversations where we sit around at a table and we talk about money and finances and stock market.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to take my hats off to them and big up Mr. Woodrow Foster for loving the foundation. To go and just kind of hang out at Foster's and raise some funds for the organization. Because the bottom line is that's how we raise money for this event. We raise money for this event by going and selling tickets. Voluntary, that is, if you want to purchase a ticket and be a part of the raffle. Otherwise than that, what you have is me, Brent, Frank, Stoker, Tony, and a bunch of us just putting on our boots and coming out and trying to entertain the crowd. So we really have to big up all these guys, too, to recognize that in our community there are people that are hurting.
And something, if I may ask, hopefully this doesn't disrespect anybody, but the more we drive through all of our communities, on all islands, but just focus on Grand Cayman since this is where we are now. Increasingly, you've seen new faces of people who are in the community who are struggling.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yes.
And almost on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that... That's the word. It hurts. I mean, it hurts. Your former classmate, your classmate's child, the person that was working with you, and all of a sudden you miss them, and out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
This is a reminder of, it really takes that village, and we need to be that village.
Yep.
I took a drive in East End on Sunday to drop off some players for this event. So I ran into some friends of mine that I used to go to school with, and when I saw their condition, it was frightening.
Grieve your heart.
Yeah,
it was frightening.
Yeah.
And to put it boldly, I remember there was a time in my life when there was something similar. There was a figure similar to that ran around the street.
Yeah.
And to have them say, boy, Brento, I like what you're doing. And I also run into Mr. Billy McLaughlin, who's going to be joining Mr. Brent McLean. He said he's coming down. He's going to be playing some ball for East End. I don't know if he touched base with you, but he said he will.
Well, we're hoping to have him, yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Which would be good for him this time, too.
Yeah. I remember when he used to play football, he was one of the best defenders I think this island has ever had.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I mean, you really did go. You know what? I'm not gonna go there.
Go ahead.
Don't come and say listening. I mean, but Susan reminded me, and I appreciate it. This is what I think we need to do. I know you got to get back to work, Mr. McLean.
Sure.
Monday.
Yes.
What time should we be there and where?
Well, we're serving food from 3 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
So those 3 hours of windows will be food.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be time for games. We're going to have basketball, hooping, gig spinning, kite flying. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff for the children. We really would like to have the community come out. And for those, I know Brent and Frank and I, we used to do gig spinning, but there are a lot of kids that really have forgot about all of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of them don't.
So we will have a gentleman there that will be providing some gig spinning.
You call him dealer, gentlemen?
They have kids. They have kids that have no clue what a gig is.
What a gig
is.
I totally agree.
And we're going to put something to it. Maybe a great gift certificate. for one of the favorite restaurants here. Where if we can manage to swing the wheelbarrow away, if we can put a great gift certificate to that too for the winner. So the afternoon really should be just about good community spirit, coming together as a country, as a people as a whole, just for one purpose.
At Ed Bushfield.
Yes.
Ed Bushfield, starting at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Games at 6.
Games at 6.
It is a fun time. It truly is a family environment. Miss Corwell?
Yeah, and I heard Brent been drilling his guys to come out there and say he want to be recognized as the country, the team in Cayman that has beaten everybody else.
Exactly.
So in his mind, he wants to be like Georgetown.
What a parting shot that was.
If you think it's bad now, you wait till Monday. And for those who listen, Mr. Heights, final word, sir.
What I think, we have to see substance abuse in our community for what it is. I think we're not taking a cold, hard look at it and the daily consequences that it happens when we talk about. When we recognize the fact that if someone is struggling with substance abuse, with that goes crime.
Yeah. And with that goes
loss of life. When we look at the police statistics, that they talk about the crime, different types of crime that has dropped over the last several years, we got to look at the part that not only Hope Foundation has played in it, but we got to look at the part that Bridge, both of these halfway houses, has played a major role, because there was many people that came into the halfway house or the halfway houses that have found recovery. These individuals at some point in their life didn't have an alternative. They didn't have a chance to start over because they went to prison. They came out, they were thrown right back into their same old environment. It was only the matter of time before that cycle started all over again. Today there are many people that have found recovery and that are holding on to it because they do the necessary work and use the tools that was given to them so freely. And they're being productive members of the community. And just to highlight, I got to take my hats off to Mr. Gregory Yates, who's working real closely now with the foundation. We had a gentleman that transitioned out from the halfway house just several weeks ago. Maybe like 5-6 weeks ago. And he's working down there, being productive, has his own apartment. He recognized the fact that being focused in the recovery process is the best opportunity for him to stay sober. So he has actually joined up with the legends, even though he's transitioned out, but he's coordinating a team also. So we should have a game before the game.
Yeah, man. A little
warm up.
Yeah. Well, gents, certainly every time, any time, I appreciate it. The few minutes to laugh with you and to see how together we can make this. Mr. McLean, all the best to you. Mr. Hydes, I expect, you must represent.
Yeah, we expect good things for you too. Come with a wheelbarrow.
There you go. Let's go. Well, you can sit and commentate.
Well, I wish them both luck, and we will see the winner of this outcome.
Yes.
In the near future.
There you go, man.
So they will be up against us next.
Boy, Frank, look like we're going to be playing you soon then.
Whoever it is.
That's my part, in short.
Whoever it is, we're ready.
And to our listeners, it is this Monday, 3 o'clock at Ed Bushfield as we celebrate Discovery Day. Hopefully today, Clash of the Legends. Please come out and support us. And when we come back, join us after the break for some more Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Support
Tourism is estimated to contribute 25 to 30% to our GDP, and 80% of our tourism industry comes from cruise. You do the math. It's time to build the piers and protect our cruise tourism industry into the future.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
At Powerhouse Gym, where you feel like home in a multicultural energy environment for all. They are dedicated to helping you achieve your fitness goals. Whether you have decided to get in shape, train for a specific sport, boost your energy levels, or even look your best for a special day. With a variety of sports options, group fitness classes, CrossFit outdoor gym. They provide personal trainers and equipment. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center, offers a complete health and recreational environment for the only sports and recreational facility of its kind in the Cayman Islands. For more information, call 946-5464. Email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. Powerhouse Gym, King Sports Center. Serious results, period.
Attention accounting service providers. According to the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Regulations, all firms providing accounting services, including but not limited to bookkeeping, payroll, accounts preparation, or tax advice, are required to register with the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants by the 30th of May. A free lunch and learn workshop will be offered on Friday, the 17th of May. For more information or to sign up for the workshop, please call 749-3360 or email admin@ciipa.ky. For additional information, you can also visit cipa.ky. That's ciipa.ky.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
Place household garbage in large bags prior to its placement in a garbage container to avoid spillage during collection. A suitable garbage container must be made of sturdy materials that will allow it to withstand weathering. A tightly fitted cover is also necessary to keep out water and stray animals. Do your part. Keep your surroundings clean. Store household garbage in a suitable garbage container. For more tips on proper waste packaging, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And for the next 15 minutes, short, like some of us, they say good things come in small packages. So a wonderful opportunity for us to share with Miss Erin Borden, the general manager over at Meals on Wheels, as we tell you, about upcoming gala. I like how you turned it, man. Aren't you glad? It's almost like that knock-knock joke, right?
Yes, right.
No, but it's a pleasure. Thank you for making time in your schedule and for our community to constantly be willing to partner. We really have a very charitable, generous, giving and loving community. And even though the need sometimes seems to be overwhelming, sometimes when we talk about relative, it doesn't seem to be as bad. And that's good, but there's still a need. And there's still opportunity for us to be able to contribute. And people like you are so, unselfish with your time and with your energy. I wish you continued health and much success. Miss Erin, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on. And we're thrilled to be celebrating our 6th annual Orange You Glad Gala. It's always a fun night and a night where we pay tribute to our seniors, give thanks for them, and raise money to support our organization that, wouldn't be sustainable without the donations of the community and the public. We do receive a government grant that covers approximately 18% of our annual expenses, but the rest of that has to come from public support. So we look to our community, our sponsors, Radio Cayman, to help us out and make it all possible, because it costs $5 a day to feed a senior, which when you think about it is really reasonable. I mean, if you went to go to, say, Foster's or Kirk's or wherever you might go for lunch, Hurley's, wherever, you would pay probably even more than $5 for a large plate of food and a soup. And so it's a sustainable for us to be able to continue to contract our kitchens to provide the food. And we're thankful for the community who steps up and raises those funds. And this gala raises enough money, or we hope it will raise enough money again this year, for at least 3 months worth of meals for our seniors. That's over 230 recipients.
If I may ask, though, as we speak, about Meals on Wheels, and we're speaking to the General Manager, Ms. Erin Borden, as a perspective for the wider community who are either not, involved or not volunteering, who may not be, quite up to speed, you do meals just the weekdays?
Monday through Friday, yes, for 230 people across all 5 districts.
On public holidays?
Not on public holidays, okay. No. Generally, we find family members step in on those days.
And it's on weekdays, one meal?
One meal a day.
A meal plus a soup.
That's right.
And sometimes, for some of those people, that can be split into 2 quite easily because they don't eat a whole lot at one time.
That's right.
But not, I was thinking about this earlier and understanding to some people that some of us eat all day long. Right?
That's true.
I mean, present company included, right? and some of us pick not much. Right. But that's one meal. We talk about 3 squares a day. There's still a need.
That's right. There is. And I mean, I think that this helps to ensure that they get a home-cooked meal, call it, a well-rounded, balanced meal, including protein and including vegetables and a starch, so that they're eating something that maybe they wouldn't take the time to cook for themselves. They can maybe grab a piece of toast for breakfast or some porridge, that kind of thing. But, to actually have a full balanced meal with a soup, to help nourish their bodies, that's a completely different thing, whether they're able physically to do it or whether they're able to afford to do it. Because, it's costly.
It's both. I mean, that physical inability, there may be a willingness, but it's a challenge. And you deliver as well to those who can't, come and get.
That's right. We have over 100 volunteers that go out and serve every lunch hour during the weekdays. And we're thankful for those people that dedicate their time to this. Some of these people have been doing it for 10, 15 years, delivering to these seniors. So
wow,
they develop relationships with them.
And we can get into just not you and I know, but as a community, into the discussion about the need and all of the other things that surround that. But until there's a permanent solution or another thing to complement, it exists in our communities. What are we doing to make sure? Well, here's a way we can support Meals on Wheels. The gala is coming up. Aren't you glad? Tell us about it.
It's on Saturday, the 25th of May. At the Ritz-Carlton Grand Cayman, and they are wonderful sponsors of ours. They come on board every year and do a lot of different fundraising initiatives for us, as well as delivering meals. So the Ritz-Carlton is our venue this year. Cocktails are at 6 o'clock and dinner at 7 o'clock. And it's $175 per ticket, which includes a 3-course meal, live entertainment, and a live and silent auction component, as well as some other fun additions. So it's a fun night. We encourage everybody to dress in orange, although it's not mandatory. So gentlemen, we're not, you don't have to come in an orange suit, although our chairman, Robin Parado, does every year. But you can throw on an orange tie, perhaps, or some orange socks. And the ladies, maybe an orange handbag or some shoes. But it's not mandatory, but it's meant to be sort of a fun way to honor Meals on Wheels, as that's our logo color.
Remind me during the break to tell you what someone shared, who orange might be there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, when I see Rob in his PR and he's promoting, and he's enthusiastic, energetic, very energized. He rocks the orange, man. He
does.
He does.
I love that about him. He's a lot of fun, and he's doing it all for a great cause, and he's not ashamed to sort of poke fun at himself and dress up.
But I think that's the wonderful part of what he does, and then people like that who are willing to draw their needed attention to the cause in order for it to not only get recognition, promotion, but people to start to appreciate that, hey, I can do something. Maybe volunteer once a week, maybe a couple of times in a month, maybe give some sort of donation, maybe assist in some way. Sometimes we're not even aware that something is happening or that the need is as people have shared, because we're truly, some of us are busy, respectfully, some of us have our heads buried in the sand as well, but it takes all kinds.
That's right.
And maybe you're looking for a special evening out, you just want to network with some others, feel good about, your evening out. On the 25th of May, Saturday evening?
Mm-hmm, that's right. And we're encouraging corporate entities, as you say. It's a great networking event. It's a great opportunity to take some clients out, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's a fun night. You're going to see a lot of people in our community that you know. And I think that, ultimately, we're looking to eradicate our waiting list. We come every year and tell you about this waiting list, and we are chipping away at it, so to speak. We did increase the number of people we serve by over 17 people from last year at $1,300 each for the year. And we also eliminated in East End, we were only serving 3 days a week in East End, and now we've bumped that up to 5 days a week. So we are achieving our goals, but we still have 80 people in West Bay that are without meals and that are waiting. These names were put forth by MLAs in the community and individuals that were concerned for a loved one. And so those 80 people I can't reach at this time because we don't have the funds for it. But you can make a difference by, either donating $1,300, which would cover one senior for a year, pledging to feed a senior, or even $25 for a week. That whatever you can give, it helps. As I say, it's $5 a day to feed a senior, and this gala goes a long way. This pays for 3 months worth of meals on average. This year, we're actually hoping to reach 4 months worth of meals.
And with the community's continued support, we'll be able to do that. But as I listen to you, recognizing that even in an instance where there may be other support from family, from other agencies, the fact is that this is one meal where you should have, what they say, 3 squares a day, maybe at least 2. Some of us, because of our lifestyles, we may only sit down to eat one meal. But it isn't that we're going without opportunities to pick and get as we go through. But for these individuals, if wasn't for that one meal, there mightn't be any meals.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
And we have people that, are without CUC or without water. I mean, we're talking about a range of need here. It's, not everybody's in that position, but there we do feed several people in that position. So it's important to take that into consideration.
Yeah. It is challenging, I think, when you are faced with this on a daily basis and you become very conscious of the affluence in societies, as well as in some cases abject poverty. Now, we may say that's not the case in Cayman, but it may be, right? And if it's not as bad as some of us say it is or as some of us think it is, but if it's bad and nothing is done, will it get better or will it get worse?
That's right.
And how are we responding? Now, if we want to come out to be a part of the Orange You Glad Gala on May the 25th, how do we get tickets? I mean, do we need tickets?
You need tickets, and you need to purchase them in advance. And so you can call us at the office at 769-4 888-289-1974, or you can email us at info@mealsonwheels.ky. You can find us on our website or through our Facebook or Instagram pages as well if you want contact information and you're in the car and you can't write it down, but we're easy to find.
So we can buy a ticket, we can buy a table?
That's right. Yeah, you can buy a table of 10 for $1,750. So we're encouraging our corporate bodies, if they can do that, again, bring some clients. It's a great opportunity to have some fun together, and it's a great opportunity to treat the staff and have a fun night out as well.
Yeah, we reward that employee that you think has been productive, to come out and sort of be pampered. People respond differently to different things. You're going to be out in the evening. Get to see Robin in his rocking orange suit.
You can't miss Rob in the orange suit, that's right.
No, man. I remember when he came in with I don't know if I call it the costume, but, glad that he came in and he was wearing it. Then I've seen him since in the orange suit. And I thought, wow, you think this guy is full of energy and excited. But when you see him on that evening, man, he's just bouncing.
Yeah, he really is. He's passionate about the cause. He's passionate about our seniors. Rob actually used to volunteer delivering meals for several years with us, long before he became chairman. Mm-hmm. And so he's really passionate because he has seen what we've accomplished over the years and been a big part of that. And also he's seen our seniors' needs and he wants to help. So.
Yeah, well, we can help, and I think together, as you shared, Miss Erin, whether we contribute what we think may be a small amount, $25 a week, or whether we have 25,000 or 25 million, whatever the case is, right. Each bit helps. And pick the causes and the charities that we feel are important to us, and everybody makes a contribution. We get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So the 25th at the Ritz for 6 o'clock for cocktails?
6 o'clock for cocktails. Dinner starts 7 p.m., but you want to get there early so that you can have a look at those auction items.
All right. You reference, as we close, I can ask you, you were referencing volunteers, that's 100 plus who come out and assist. For those who want to volunteer, do you still have need? How would we go about?
Our need at this time is not too great. We do have a waiting list of people who actually want to serve, but we also use those people as a sort of backup list, if you want to call it. If someone goes on vacation, one of our volunteers goes on vacation, leaves the island for business, whatever it might be, we need people as backup volunteers, and so we do call upon that list. So if that's something you're interested in, give us a ring, 769-1974 or info@mealsonwheels.ky.
Well, I certainly appreciate you taking time to share with us, and hopefully again this year, not only will you meet your target, but exceed it, and people will enjoy, a wonderful evening of fellowship as we raise funds and celebrate it, and people come away filled with a sense of, commitment to our community. Any closing thoughts, Ms. Erin? Yeah,
thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate it. And as well to our major sponsors, Caribbean Club and the Ritz-Carlton. We're really thankful for all of the people who partner with us. Well, this is where, what I say, the strength of that chain, grows stronger. If each link gets stronger, we don't want no weak links in our chain. That's right. Hey, thanks very much, Ms. Erin. Thank you so much. All right. Meals on Wheels, the Orange You Glad Gala on the 25th of this month, Saturday at the Ritz-Carlton. Well, Miss Susan's going to stand by. She'll be right there. She'll put the news up for us when we come back. Dr. Hazel Brown will share with us about Nurses Week. And if you want to know more about the EMS, 1:30, that'll be that discussion. See what's going to happen? Well, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. K-Man's Cancer Registry sees a 20% boost last year, with more than 440 people now on the list. K-Man Cancer Registrar Amanda Nicholson tells Radio K-Man that May is Cancer Research Month, and this year the focus is on reducing the stigma associated with registration. In international headlines, a man who reportedly told investigators that he went to the Mall of America in Minneapolis looking for someone to kill pleaded guilty today to throwing a 5-year-old boy from a third-floor balcony and is facing 19 years in prison. The Minneapolis man pleaded guilty to attempted premeditated first-degree April 12 attack. The child suffered head trauma and multiple broken bones, but survived. The World Health Organization releases some new guidelines recommending specific interventions for reducing the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. The World Health Organization says people can reduce their risk of dementia by getting regular exercise, not smoking, avoiding harmful use of alcohol, and controlling their weight, as well as eating a healthy diet and maintaining healthy blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. Disney cuts a deal with Comcast to take full control of the streaming service Hulu as it prepares to launch its own streaming service. The company said today that Comcast, which owns a third of Hulu, may sell its stake in 2024 for a minimum of $5.8 billion. Either company can require the other to make the deal. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Business owners, managers, and marketers interested in learning how digital and social media marketing can help grow your business? Join Yellow Media Group Monday, May 27th at Yellow Digicon and unleash your company's digital potential. Learn from international digital marketing and social media experts, including speakers from Google and Matchcraft, plus a Fortune 500 digital marketing strategist. Complimentary registration for Yellow Media Group customers. Register now at digiconcayman.com or findyellow.com. Presented by Yellow Media Group in partnership with Google.
Attention accounting service providers. According to the Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorist Financing Regulations, all firms providing accounting services, including but not limited to bookkeeping, payroll, accounts preparation, or tax advice, are required to register with the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants by the 30th of May. A free lunch and learn workshop will be offered on Friday, the 17th of May. For more information or to sign up for the workshop, please call 749-3360 or email admin@ciipa.ky. For additional information, you can also visit cipa.ky. That's ciipa.ky.
Emma, what do you think of when you hear Toastmasters? Honestly, I think of people raising glasses and making a toast. Really? Well, that's far from what we do. Why not come out to our event, Sounds of Expression? Ooh, tell me more. Well, it's going to be an awesome evening of intimate poetry, live music, and refreshments. Come out and enjoy a little taste of the diverse talents of our Toastmasters. So, will you be there? Of course, girl. How can I not? Poetry, live music, food, I won't miss it. Fantastic. Now don't forget Georgetown Town Hall, May 29th at 6 p.m. Admission only $10.
A Toastmasters fundraising event proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman,
Star 92.7, Audio Wave,
The Performance Lab,
FunFet, Acorn Publishing, and Sings Roti Shop.
Sounds of Expressions. Visit Sings Roti Shop for tickets. All proceeds go to our youth leadership program.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us as we have a chance now to speak to Dr. Hazel Brown as we focus on Nurses Week. I believe a lot of us, especially growing up in the early days, whether it was the little books that we were given, whether we read the story of Florence Nightingale or the like, or we even had some people in our communities who were not necessarily nurses, in a sense, by either their occupation or their training, but they assisted, they attended, they offered some sort of community service. No way were they called nurses or portrayed as nurses, but they were, incredibly helpful in the community. As little boys, you run around, you get a scraped knee, a buck toe, or the like. But we even go back earlier where there were these other stalwarts who truly were the nurses, as we see our health centers in the districts, sort of named to honor them. But where the profession has come, whether we look at the nurse practitioner or whether we look at this other specialization of nurses in the ER, in the trauma centers and like, Dr. Brown, you have sort of entered and gone through the fray and have risen to the top. It must have been, from a personal perspective, an incredible journey.
It has been an amazing journey, Dwayne, and thank you very much for giving me another opportunity to talk about nursing. That's one of my favorite topics. Yeah. Yes, it has been. It has been an amazing journey. 38 years here locally and 4 years of training prior to that. So we've seen tremendous changes across our profession in just about every sphere, and there's never been a dull day, and there's never been a time when the profession was not rewarding. So yes, it's been an amazing journey.
And for those individuals who, I think hopefully it's easier today, certainly hopefully it's much more respected in a sense. So it's easier to get people into the profession to look at it. Because the nurses, to me, plays that role from the very beginning of the contact with the patient, during the time that the patient is being sort of treated, and then the follow-up. It seems that the nurse has constant and continuing contact, with the patient, as it were.
Well, interestingly, Dwayne, it's both. It's been that, and it's also been the opposite. It's quite a conundrum some days, in that nursing has grown from what used to be called a vocation or a trade into a well-established profession, and for many years we've been the most trusted profession using the Gallup poll surveys. And however, it's become increasingly difficult. While technology has improved the physical work and given us, additional tools, the expectation of the population, locally and globally,
yes,
and the actual softer experience of the nurse has deteriorated. So what we're finding, and you may have seen on Facebook over the last few years and on across social media really, is the I Am Not a Target campaign, because nurses face a lot of abuse and violence in the workplace. It's become one of our top job hazards. And because of that, and of course combined with the unsocial hours and the demands on a person's personal life, it's becoming increasingly difficult to attract people to the profession. So yes, there have been tremendous improvements. There have been improvements around the education, around the preparation of the nurse, around the work environment, as in how much of the physical labor and how much of that work has been taken over by technology, how much more accurate we can be with the support of technology. But from the relationship perspective, it has become tremendously challenging.
And I'm glad that you share that, because when we look at it, for me, I'm looking at how respected and respectable, I call it the profession, and then the way it's perceived to be trusted. But there are two things I may ask of you as we get in, gradually into the more discussion of Nurses Week and the importance of it. The shortage of nurses globally, and how I use the word poaching. Some jurisdictions will reach out and say, hey, we're going to offer incentives if you want to come over here, and we're looking for these qualifications. I think Cayman, I don't want to say has suffered from that, but we've had a share of people being poached. My words.
Yeah, and it's our words too.
Okay.
and you're spot on. Probably about 10, 15 years ago, we started to talk about the shortage of nursing, this tremendous shortage that we were expecting in 2020. And it has actually arrived to us. And we here locally have been really, really struggling to recruit nurses, with a lot of positions have opened up in the U.S. in the last few years. Canada has opened and they're recruiting. The UK is recruiting. And the Caribbean region, and I'm sure it's not only the Caribbean, but the Caribbean is suffering from that recruitment, that pull of our nursing talent out of the region. Now we're trying to kind of combat that by having our own school, but we're not finding Caymanians necessarily joining the profession either. So it's quite a mix. We're having a mixed response at the school. So a lot of people are actually going into the profession for the purpose of migration. So we'll get lots of different nationalities going through our program here. Their purpose is migration to the north. The 2020 predicted shortage is here, and we are struggling and trying to find means of combating it.
Something that I may ask of you, and only perhaps I leave it to you, because those who know you know, one, that you're not only incredibly intelligent, you're certainly eloquent, you're willing to speak not just from a very considered, insightful perspective, but respectful, but to the point. And then second, what I'm asking you about is that as a country, when we talk about geopolitical landscape here, there's the phrase banted, but when we talk about the social part and is emerging, we're not probably as a country, maybe from the public policy perspective specifically, not paying attention to just nursing, not just education, but say nursing, that potential shortage that had, well, not the potential, the shortage that exists now. What are we doing to make sure, one, that we attract our own people into the profession, and two, when they come in, that they're not being sort of using that as we've recognized as a stepping stone to what they think is greener pastures to the north?
I think as a country we are caught in a conundrum in that there is no clear solution. If, for instance, we were to offer incentives such as the U.S. and Canada. So U.S. and Canada, when they're recruiting, you have a clear path to citizenship. Would our country and our infrastructure be able to absorb the response to that sort of an opening? Could we do that just for nurses and not do it across the country for all other professions? There's so many very, very big questions that the country would have to ask, that we always have to be cognizant of these things. And for that reason, we tend not to be very kind of strong activists, because we have to recognize the impact of our activism on the rest of the economy. So while we could probably make a very strong emotional and emotive action, shall I say, and to try to change the terms for bringing nurses into country, it's not a position. It's not a step that I'm ready to take simply because I understand the wider implications of it. I prefer for us to try to develop our own workforce. Now, is that to say that when our workforce here develops, we don't need expatriate nurses? Absolutely not. No. We will always need, particularly around the specialist areas. Right. And because it takes some time for a nurse to go from that novice, that new graduate, to become an experienced and safe specialist practitioner. So there's no easy answer to it.
Right.
And
as I listen to that idea that, as you shared, people here locally enter the profession, get the training as a way to migrate north. Some of them, perhaps as you shared, it's a challenge to get Caymanians into the workforce, but if they're legal here, if they come from elsewhere, they get the student visa, for want of a better word, they train here, they've got further ground. Now, if others can see that, whether they're legally here, whether they come here to train, somehow our own people need to start to appreciate the importance of it. Could I ask then from that perspective, the training, the timeline, not just that after a period of time. And I believe whatever job you're doing, whatever profession, whatever vocation, whatever skill sets, over time, with continued practice, with continued experience, exposure, you probably will get better. But for the person who enter a nursing profession, what are we looking at? A day, a week, a year, a century? What is it like? How long does it take? What is involved? And I know it depends on a number of different areas and how we may branch off, but just the basics.
Well, right now, there are a number of programs and a number of conversations that we're carrying on at the HSA, and in this capacity, now I'm speaking as the HSA, trying to wrap our heads around what it is going to take us to get us from a novice to a competent nurse. And we have developed a transition to practice program which will support young Caymanian graduates out of the UCCI or other Caymanians who've gone overseas for a 1 year to see that we can consolidate the skills we have at all times to be acting in the best interest of our patients. So if a nurse is not safe to practice in any particular area, we have to support them through the transition until they can achieve and acquire the skills to make them a safe practitioner. Now, strange enough, this morning I had a conversation with one of the nurse leaders. We were talking about what is it going to take us today to get a safe nurse in one of our particular specialty areas that is really, really a very vulnerable population. And we've traditionally said 3 years, but now we're saying no, with the complexity of the patients that we are actually seeing in our unit today, this morning, 3 years wouldn't prepare a nurse to practice in that specialty area. So in some specialty areas, we can train here. So we can train dialysis nurses here. We have the volume, we have the expertise. We can prepare a nurse to go on and do the dialysis certification. There's one other area that we're looking at. Can we do it? 2 other areas that we're looking with the volume that we have. Can we prepare a nurse for a specialty practice here? But there are other areas that our volume does not support the experience to make someone a competent independent practitioner. So, for instance, if we consider our pediatric unit and our NICU, they're both very tiny units with very low volumes, and it takes a lot of volume to get a nurse from novice to expert, and it's expert that we need in these units, not competent practitioners, right? So it's variable. There's some nurses that we can take people out of the school, run them through a transition to practice. Some people may have to go back through the second time. We're not releasing them until they're safe. We can put them into our medical surgical units. We can support them through dialysis, specialty preparation. Like I said, there are a couple of other areas that we can. And the other area, it may take them a master's degree and another 5 years of experience to make them an expert practitioner. So it's very variable.
Right. And now, in order to look at nurses and the nursing profession, is it the pay, the perception of the pay? What is that thing, or maybe 3 things, if there are many, that seem to be that impediment to attracting people into the profession?
There are a number of things. A lot of research has been done in academic centers around nursing, the onboarding, recruitment, getting people into the profession, and actually the onboarding and keeping them, because a lot of nurses leave within their first year of practice.
Attracting and retention, right? All right.
So it's pretty complex. First of all, nursing, work-life balance can be very difficult to achieve on social hours. A lot of nurses are still female. It's still primarily female. And motherhood and young families and family responsibilities can often be really, really challenging to a young nurse remaining in the profession. Getting people into the profession, it's largely around, and this is a global thing, the salary of a nurse educator can be very low. So we don't have enough educators out there to be able to support the number of students that would be needed to make up that gap of the from the baby boomers' retirement, because we've got hundreds of thousands of nurses who are coming up for retirement. Nurses are now working well into their 70s. I have nurses on my staff that are in their 70s. And still working very, very well, knock on wood. But it's some of it may be pay. It may be pay, but I think it's more around conditions of work. If we compare our salaries to the U.S., we're not doing very well. If we compare our salaries to the UK, we're doing better. But when you consider the benefits in in some of these other systems, things like maternity leave and vacation leave and other benefits, that they don't have to contribute to healthcare. And so at the HSA, they don't have to contribute to their healthcare, but they're contributing to their pension. So there's a whole lot of stuff. Right. In other jurisdictions, they can choose. You can either do nights or you can do days. You can self-schedule. There are lots of different benefits that we're also now trying to start to incorporate. So it's not only about salary, though. I mean, we never think that we're paid what we're worth. But
you're probably not.
I don't think we are. But in all seriousness, I don't think it's only about salary. Right. And in Cayman, I think a lot of it is about security of tenure and, the pathway to citizenship and that sort of thing.
Right. And I ask that because I believe, as you said, these are the things that are important for our society. And I'll say this until someone who is much better than me, smarter, more experienced, educated, contradicts me. The pillars in our society, but in any society, strong, robust healthcare system, strong, robust education system. So having healthy, educated people. And I'll sing that mantra forever until I see otherwise. And take nurses, for instance. I recall a very, very long time ago, suggesting to some people who would be in a position, a program like Teachers Next Door, Nurses Next Door, Police, where there's a community initiative sponsored by the government to incentivize not just nurses, as we focus on this time, preferential rates for mortgages, different allowances. There's some unwritten rule in the West that nurses and teachers aren't supposed to be paid above a certain sum. Give these other things that have tangible benefits. Now, the correspondence side, how many of us, when we look at a paycheck, see the contribution towards pension and healthcare as part of our financial package? Many of us don't. We only see, how much you took out of my money and what do I have in my hand at the end of the month. That is what we can take to the shop. That's what we can pay our mortgages with, fair enough. But if we can do these things, would that help? But there's a lot more to it, and I think we're not seeing. I really appreciate you focusing on this for this Nurses Week, and maybe more of us come into it. Can I ask two other things of you? I was wondering, and I'm glad that you broached it, so it's good. We know, because of the profession, the challenges, and just generally speaking, perhaps hopefully it's not that way here in Cayman, but nurses being targeted, there's challenges, as you said, in the working environment because of the profession that you do, the jobs that you do. People come in, they're frustrated, they're belligerent, they're all these things, and whether it was a deliberate thing that a person regrets later or whether it was a malicious thing that a person, really has no recollection. You sometimes could face, as a nurse, challenging working environments.
Violence.
Okay, violence. And
it is a reality in our world. Unfortunately, it didn't used to be like that, but it didn't used to be like that anywhere in the world, right? So as we become more sophisticated, I guess, for want of a better word, we are facing that. Up until recently, I would say to you, it's been primarily verbal abuse, but we need to make a differentiation between that conscious decision that a patient makes to harm someone, in contrast to the person who is not compos mentis. We have patients who come in who, for whatever condition, it may be low oxygen sats, it may be for whatever, they may become, violent, and we have to restrain them. That's a part of their illness picture. But there are others. We're speaking about the others now, right. Not the mental health patient, not the other patient who, for some other reason, their mind has just gone off the rails. Right? Because some of that can be physical, it can be metabolic, it can be all sorts of things that can contribute to this violent behavior. But we're talking about those persons who are compos mentis but make a choice that I am going to harm this person in front of me. Those we just need to make that differentiation. Right, okay. And yes, we are seeing more of that. We get tremendous abuse, verbal abuse. We get abused on social media. We get abuse from just about every quarter from people that you would never dream would do it.
And we notice it globally, but in the Cayman context as well.
In the Cayman context, increasingly so. Yes, increasingly so. And we understand frustration. So we try to, at the HSA, we try to put in place processes to try to de-escalate as soon as we see things starting to heat up. I mean, we've had people come in and take rocks and stone the TVs, mash up the TVs, mash up things. People who are in their right minds, in quotation marks. We've had people spit on staff. We've had people grab staff and all sorts of threats of all sorts. So the emergency room is a particularly volatile area, so we have to be very alert to that and try to de-escalate things. As soon as you see somebody getting a bit agitated, you want to engage and either remove them from the area or in some way try to de-escalate. So we're constantly at the HSA working to prevent issues of violence, but they are there, and we never used to have that. I mean, that was never even a thought when we worked in emergency room in years.
It speaks to the change in ethos in our society, huh?
And the frustration in our population. There are lots of things that frustrate people, and they take them out on the closest person sometimes.
Okay, let's end on a positive note. It is Nurses Week. We celebrate. We get people to come, and for what it's worth, I know as a patient, as a family member of patients, when you're engaging in, say, health services, sometimes it can be frustrating. You don't understand language. You don't understand what's happening. Why are you not telling me? We do get frustrated sometimes.
Absolutely.
I understand. But I also can respect that you're dealing with one patient. That one staff member, that team, has one patient times X. So you're dealing with a lot more. How do we, on this end, try to be more respectful, more, at the very least,
Well, at the HSA, we always have someone on duty. We have a shift coordinator on duty.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody at any point in time feels that they're not being served or they're not getting the care they require, they can ask for that person. At any point in time, any patient, or whether it be outpatient or inpatient, can ask for the shift coordinator, and that person is available. So we try to encourage people to reach out to our shift coordinators, our patient services personnel, just to try to express themselves and let us know. And we work very hard to correct any issues. Now, having said all of this, Dwayne, I think I would like to recognize the commitment of the nurses. I'm sure it's not only at the HSA. I'm sure it's across the 3 islands. Well, 2 of them are going to be only HSA, right? But
across all the professions, all the staff, all the facilities,
all the nurses. I mean, on our register, we have at the 31st of December, we had 501 nurses, midwives across the specialties, including the institutional list registered in Cayman. And I would like to just take a moment for us to recognize the commitment that it takes for persons to leave their bed at night and come out and take care of our loved ones, to go through very, very trying circumstances. Sometimes a nurse is leaving her baby at home, not feeling well, and comes in to take care of my baby. Yeah. And in the last couple of years, our nurses in particular have worked under very, very trying circumstances as we have faced recruitment challenges. Right now, it's starting to feel like a little bit of ease, but there are some areas where it's still at crisis level. And we're working hard. Nurses are giving up their private time to come in and do overtime. So, okay, we say they get paid, but they don't have to. There's no such thing as mandatory overtime. And
you can't pay for time.
No, you can't. We can't. And we really, as a nation, need to express to the nurses our appreciation for that commitment. It's not easy. It's not always, sometimes it can be thankless, but it is always rewarding. I mean, for nurses, people couldn't pay you enough to do this, right? It really and truly is very rarely about the money.
It's a calling.
It still is a calling. And we would like it to call the right people
for the right reasons.
for the right reasons, but we still have to applaud the commitment of people who come out and work long and work hard under dire circumstances sometimes, at no fault of the organization, because the environment may appear to be pleasant and all that, but because of the interactions and the stress and the strain and the challenges and the complexity of the patients, it's becoming increasingly challenging over time.
So how can we as a community show appreciation, partner with our nurses and the celebration of Nurses Week? What can we do? I mean, if I come up to the HSA with some chocolate and eat and enjoy it and say, hey, this was good, or what can we do? Nurses
love to hear you say thanks. Yeah. And I would encourage anyone who has a positive interaction. We hear so much more about the negative interactions. Yeah. But if you have a positive interaction with a nurse, say thanks, express your appreciation, and just take time out to just commend those nurses who are in your circle for having made that choice and for having stuck to it.
Well, I tell you what, we have much in this community to be proud of and thankful for, and there's a lot I think that we can do increasingly. I've been talking so much today. I forget that I have a job where I actually have to talk, See, I've discovered that if I don't say much in the mornings, I can talk more in the afternoons. Thank you, Miss Susan. Don't worry, Miss Susan. Just put the voice up as we go. But Dr. Brown, I am very proud of what we have in our community. And sometimes I believe I may have, on a personal level, these exacting standards of excellence. But if we don't continue to raise the bar, if we don't look to people like you and some of the other nurses specifically, who are not just very compassionate, but are very professional, very competent, we can see that the bar can be raised. Remember when running the 100-yard dash, it took 5 days.
Absolutely, there's always room for improvement.
There it is. Well, I'm hoping that you will be able to join us, talk about nursing, the medical profession with other members of your team at any point, as we encourage more people to get in. Yes, well. Any closing thoughts you may want to leave with us, Mom?
Well, I'd just like to say that in addition to Nurses Week, that we've also, and International Nurses Day yesterday, we've also had International Day of the Midwife earlier in this month, and we're always very happy to have our midwives. Most of us wouldn't be here without the midwife, and we need to really. When I speak about nurses, I tend to get them, include the midwives, but we need to single them out for our thanks and our appreciation as well, and also to say next year is going to be the International Year of the Nurse, so we'll be celebrating, and we look forward to engaging with the community on that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazel Brown, and that role that you serve. I didn't have a calculator, but you said 38 plus 4, and then Susan got the calculator and put it in the spreadsheet and said, that's 42. I just kidding. She didn't do that. No, but it just shows you how rewarding the career can be, and that you can, as you shared, as a nurse, continue to practice into your 7th and 8th decade, as long as you're able to provide. I trust that you will continue to do so. Thank you very much. Enjoy your week.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. You're a great inspiration. Now, as we continue to focus on the health care sector, our good friends from our EMS team will come into the studio. There's a young fellow who's going to join us, man. And I watch him grow up. If you didn't think he could get more handsome, well, every day his mom looks at him and goes, gee, that's a handsome boy. And then I have a classmate who's going to come in as well. So stay tuned. We'll talk today.
Excuse me, I noticed you from afar.
Really? Me?
Well, not you. The KFC sandwich you're eating?
Oh, Zinger.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, it's called the Zinger Sandwich. Crunchy, juicy, 100% chicken breast, crisp lettuce, sweet mayo on a seeded bun with a little zing. KFC's chicken is not factory breaded, frozen, and refried like the Burger Boys. Customize your KFC Zinger and dip it in barbecue sauce.
Wow, now I'm starting to notice you too.
KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Radio Cayman's premier health show,
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush,
is brought to you on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on 89.9 and 93.9 FM. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association. For more information on how you can become a member or the benefits of the CICSA, please visit www.cicsa.ky. For your convenience, the CICSA offices are open on Mondays from 9 to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m.
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush.
Money Sense, bringing an informed financial perspective to the Cayman community. Brought to you by the CFA Society Cayman Islands and sponsored by One Trade X. Join Money Sense Thursday at 7:30 a.m. and email your questions to moneysense@candiwaki. That's money, SENSE @CANDW.KY. Money Sense, the only personal finance radio show in the Cayman Islands. Brought to you with the support of Ron TradeX.
Are you seeking information on the proper process to start constructing your home or development? Do you know how to apply for a building permit and inspection? Are you up to date with current building codes? May is Building Safety Month, and the Department of Planning has a number of events to help you stay up to date with the building and planning process. To learn more about Building Safety Month and the training, information sessions, and demos offered for free to the public, visit planning.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. And if you notice a theme for today, it's almost deliberate, actually. It was. We want you to consider a couple of things. The need to be continually involved in our community, and by each of our, little things that we do, we can make a significant impact, leave that indelible mark on our communities. As we get near, this may be seen to be a political comment, but it isn't meant to be. I was thinking as we get near to graduation, June rolls around, schools are having graduation, some will have earlier. Students are going to be going off to university. So as parents, as students, maybe we'll consider the science fields as a potential occupation, and in particular get involved in the medical aspect in healthcare. As we look at EMS in the studio, a chance now to speak to Mr. Kendall Connor. My good friend, good afternoon, Kendall. How is everything with you, man?
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good.
All right. Jace, it's a pleasure, man. I was thinking about you earlier, and I said, what a handsome young man who's grown into even be traveling. Good to see you again, Jace.
Good afternoon, Uncle Dwayne. You good?
Bless, my friend. Bless.
Yes,
man.
sir.
Now, I was looking at you, Mr. Powell, and I thought, I have to go back over to HSA and tell them anytime they're sending young men over, they can't send handsome men like you guys. Because this don't work. I mean, all you better looking at me today. Better hair. Susan, turn the cameras off.
Thanks.
I was so proud of you guys, man.
Thank you.
As we talk about EMS, I'm going to ask you at some point why you've been in it, what attracted you, why you stayed, and hopefully encourage others into training. Now, if you would respect, we'll speak to our elders first, Kendall. Ken, I think you wanted to be in this field from day one. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember back to the days we were running around on the play yard in the schools.
Yes, that's correct, Dwayne. I always wanted to be out there, because I always felt like, just when I was at Cayman Airways, and seeing the air ambulance come to the airport and seeing how could it help people, and never forget Mr. Carl Barnes always, give me his push to join the service, and I'm glad I did, and, really like helping people and feeling that good spirit from it, so it's always rewarding.
And as you recognize, Dr. Brown was in earlier talking about nurses, and I think, my recollection, she's been a nurse forever, and she wanted to be, and understanding not just the years of training, but how long she's been there. So you're in this. It is a calling that you answer. You're probably in it forever, more than likely.
Right.
Right. Before I ask Jace, Mr. Paul, from your perspective, what attracted you? What do you find attractive about it? What made you want to get into it? What was it?
All my life I started as a firefighter, and I transitioned to 911, then EMS. But helping people, I didn't always have this passion. I fall into fire, and that love grew from day one. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I had, perhaps I won't ask you, but I was just speaking to a couple of individuals who, from other jurisdictions, still in the sort of the western part of the world, that see how the EMS component, fire, ambulance, everybody working together as opposed to what we have here. And talking about potential, maybe that'll be where we'll end up if necessary. If you wish to weigh in, but I won't ask you, lead up for the sort of the paychecks above our level. Right?
Yeah, well and above my pay grade. There we go.
But Mr. Wilson, from your perspective, I mean, how do you find it? What was there?
Well, what actually drove me to join EMS, it's something similar to that of Adan's path. I was actually a part of a pilot program from the Cayman Islands Scouts Association.
Right.
We were up at the fire department, and at the time, like I said, it was a pilot program to take young persons from the community and to develop them into future leaders within the fire service itself. And throughout that time, as Kendall said, we would see, the ambulance going back and forth from the airport. We would encounter them on certain calls. So I said, hey, that's kind of a unique way to be able to serve in your community. So I went upstairs, and God rest his soul, I spoke to the chief at the time, Mr. Nixon. And Mr. Nixon said, young man, he said, well, I really wouldn't want to see you go, but if that's a love, if that's your passion, I support you 100%. And I went over and I inquired, and the HSA accepted me with open arms. So that is where my interest was actually sparked to join the ambulance service.
Wow. That passion, that enthusiasm. You see, and the thing is, some of us will watch television programs and we'll see, the call comes into the emergency communications center, the ambulance, the fire rescues dispatch, and they're on the scene. Now, in the Cayman context, it's probably no different. You're what's the popular word? The first responders. What you do, can make a difference. Mr. Powell, is it that level of contact and the importance of what you're doing, is that what keeps you going?
Yes, just seeing someone in distress and knowing that you can help is the driven factor of why I do it. I wake up every morning and say, well, I could save someone, I could help someone.
Right.
And
no, Kendall, it's not only just the training, the competency, the skills that you develop, but that, for want of a better word, that interpersonal relations that you develop, helping to speak to someone, to family member, to calm them, to reassure them, to sometimes to console them, because what is transpiring may be actually it's not, despite the best efforts, unless a miracle, there's nothing.
Yes, that's true, Dwayne. Like what you say, we have to console a lot of people out there, try to keep them calm, because they, the surrounding, is maybe not a good one at the time. So you have to, see what you can do for the public, because, the public don't know as much, how to, like someone will pick up the phone and call and say, well, your family, X has been in an accident and I think they're seriously hurt. But you have to know how to relay that message that, that family member also don't get a stroke or, a heart attack or something like that, So you want to know, how to get that message across,
If I could ask then, when you come back from the break, two things. This is, despite the increasing population and the physical development, it's still a small community. Chances are, when you respond to something, you may know directly and indirectly the people surrounding and connected. What role, if any, does that play? How does that impact? And then let's talk about the training, the path, those who want to get into the profession. As we look at the idea of EMS and focus on it, we want our listeners to be a part of a discussion. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
Most teens who drink get alcohol from social sources, such as at parties, from older friends, or from their parents' refrigerators or cabinets. Teen drinking is linked to injury and risky behavior. We can reduce teen drinking by stopping teens' easy access to alcohol. Help us achieve this goal. This message is brought to you by Radio Cayman and the National Drug Council.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And as we continue to focus in on the health services, in particular EMS, for this segment, Mr. Kendall Connor, Mr. J.S. Wilson, and Adan Powell. Gents, when we think of it, though, it's one thing to see the ambulances go and to know, even if we're sort of good friends or family, with you guys, not knowing, not full understanding. So if you could share with us, not just the celebration of the EMS week, but the whole process. Mr. Wilson, do we start with you? Lead us off as we look at, why we're here and how we're going about it.
So going to touch on what you mentioned earlier. I'll do that after, but just to give the listening audience just a little bit of information about the Cayman Islands Ambulance Service and who is it that we really and truly are. We're a group of individuals, 39 strong. So we have 34 men and women here, EMTs, advanced EMTs, and paramedics. And we have 5 personnel in our sister islands, Cayman Brac. We have 1 paramedic, we have 3 advanced EMTs, and 1 basic over there. Just to shed a little bit of information to the public, when I started 12 years ago, we used to normally operate approximately 2,500 emergency calls a year. And now we're up to the 6,000 call mark. So again, just in the 12 years that I've been here, significant increase in emergency calls. And as you said before, that is due to us actually having a lot of persons now on island. The population definitely has grown. What we offer to the people within the community is our emergency services. However, we do also offer non-emergency service. So say, for instance, you have family members who may need to go to the hospital, to a clinic, or some other type of rehabilitation center. We also offer those services. You can just pick up the phone, dial 244-2639. And that is our office number. You can go ahead and arrange with that. And we also have inter-island transfers. And this is where a lot of our colleagues in the BRAC come in fairly handy. They actually just finished a flight physiology program. Unfortunately, we are separated by a significant amount of water.
Good fish in water.
Yeah, good fish in water, absolutely. Good fish in water. But we are separated from our sister islands. So they tend to take up the mantle quite a lot to actually medevac a lot of the patients over here. If they can't manage the patients there, they'll go ahead and then medevac a lot of the patients over here, and they'll transport them to the whichever facility they may need to take them to, whether it be our facility here at Georgetown Hospital, maybe Doctors Hospital, maybe Health City Cayman Islands. It all depends on the patient's needs at the time. So again, that's just a little bit of who we are and what we do, what we offer to the community.
And understanding that, the idea that sometimes as parents we we look at our children and we see that they have a particular interest. How do we develop that? How do we encourage it without telling the child, well, I'm this, so therefore you should be that? Is it that that's what we do as parents, as teachers, or do we let the child find a calling and find a path? Mr. Powell?
Well, everyone here in Ireland is, okay, well, I want to be accountants, I want to be doctors, and EMS is, it's in the back of everyone's mind. It's not a job that you're going to be a millionaire, but your reward is you'll help someone.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of parents don't encourage, but we do need it. And program-wise, there's not a lot of facilities here that train to an EMS level. So a lot of commanders have to go overseas to get this training. And when we come back, then...
Yeah. You see, if anybody else was here, I would say, well, one of the requirements would be that you didn't have to be handsome, but since you guys are here, so that already spoils me off. The firefighters are masculine. Can't help no, man. And you got to be jovial as well, and you know how to cook. But I say that because knowing you guys from a distance, there's strong camaraderie. You have each other's back. But you have to, because 12, 14 hours together, days on end, in very sometimes difficult circumstances, even on the island.
Yes.
There's a sense of loyalty and integrity.
And during a call, you only have 2 members, and you have to heavily rely on each other.
Wow.
Yes, that's until a backup unit can get to you.
Until the backup unit gets to you.
Especially if you're north side, east end way, you have waiting on a unit coming from Georgetown. May not even be Georgetown, matter of fact. That Georgetown unit can be busy, have to come from West Bay. They're off, you're up there stuck for a while.
If I could ask, and I'll ask this so that if it's the case, then I commend us for it. If it isn't, maybe you can invite us to be, as a public, more cognizant and more responsive. The ambulance specifically. The ambulance coming down, the siren may be going, or just maybe the lights, or maybe both. As a public, are we giving away so that the ambulance has as safe and as free a path as possible, or are some of us, so oblivious to what we're doing that we don't see the flashlights, hear the siren? Without it...
that's a big issue actually at times, especially the younger generation, hate to single them out like that, but they'll say, well, some of them even come up to the hospital and argue with you, they're not pulling off the road, they just clean the cars and all this, and wow. For the public, PR out there, they should pull to the left. We got a lot of 2 lanes now, and some of them just stopping, but just pull to the left, give the emergency vehicle that space and time to go through, wow. So that's the
difficulty.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. I've seen 1 or 2 instances. I didn't think it was that. Again, I think listening to conversations in the last week with respect to Dr. Brown, what she shared earlier, maybe there's this change in ethos in our society across the board that we, for some reason, I'll say it this way, maybe we're so self-absorbed that we're no longer conscious of what's happening. Mr. Paul, what do we do, man? Talk to us, sir.
All right, what do we do? Like what Mr. Kendall said, is pull to the left.
Pull up mic close to you, man. Susan wants to see you better. She said, pull it closer, man.
She can take pictures after.
The calendar coming out later on, guys.
You started.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Your CEO will call me and say, no, listen, leave my staff alone. Hey, if you can't beat up on your family, who can you?
Yes. So going back to EMS, so we do encourage people that are driving to pull to the left. There is that occasional someone that has their earphones or music turned up really loud and not looking back, not looking at their rearview mirror. Yeah. So we're trying to get to the scene as quick as possible, but in a safe manner.
Yeah, and there's something too that I think some of us probably don't recognize. We've got traffic lights now, we've got stop signs. Yes. Those things mean that you should stop. For those of you who don't know, that sign that says STOP, when you get to there, stop.
Surprisingly, a lot of people think that whenever we're coming to a junction and there's a red light there, we just cross there. No, we actually stop there also. Yeah. And we look both ways, then we cross.
Yeah. Safely navigate. I mean, we've seen many instances, not just in this jurisdiction, but others where even the ambulance going through safely, car coming from the other direction, plows into it. Yes. You're responding to something that is an emergency. At least that's the information at that point. For us, we just need to be. What if it's somebody in the ambulance that is close to us?
Yeah, true.
How would we like? I don't know. It's just
that training comes into play.
Yeah.
You know, just distinguishing the difference. You know, you have your family member there, but you still have to perform your duties.
Right.
And just having that clear cut.
And then for that driver who is unwilling or oblivious to the sirens and the flashing lights, think about it. What if that's your relative, your loved one? Would you want the ambulance to be impeded? You know, you can't be the only person without anybody else, right? You must have somebody. I don't know.
Well, one thing, Dwayne, just a touch, just a little bit off, but in my 26 years at the EMS service, things is getting more developed, and as one of the things I like to see, at least the general public, like when we're out there at an MVA, a shooting, a stabbing, a fight, whatever, the social media, everybody just there with their phones nowadays, just taking pictures, just taking videos. It's confidentiality with the patient. If they're in that situation, they would not want your eye to video them. So I ask the general public to take that in consideration, please.
Yes, that is a problem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Major.
Seriously?
Major problem.
So that's not just something we see on TV. That's something that is happening.
Right.
Wow. And again, people might say about you're old-fashioned or you're out of the times, but there's a time when if you had a phone, you picked up the call for help. You called the emergency services. Now you're picking up to press record, put your camera to post it.
Yeah.
Prior to calling for help.
Yeah, prior to.
Unfortunately, that's what we're encountering now.
Wow.
Yeah. Instead of helping, you're recording.
And it's we know the mob mentality. We've seen the studies where groups gather and they watch someone get brutally attacked. It's unfortunately reportedly happening here, but we need to address that.
And like what Jace just said there, and it's the truth. Just up to Sunday night, when I arrived on a MVA motor vehicle accident, there were tons of people around there, but instead of them trying to help, everyone was just with a camera, phone, videoing the whole accident. Then obviously they're getting in our way.
Right. Now, I won't ask any details, and if I did, I know that your professionalism wouldn't ask you to, wouldn't allow you to reflect. But because it's been in the media, this is an accident where, or even in some instances where the occupants have to be cut out by the fire services, its potential life threat is serious. We're there, instead of calling for help, we're videoing. Maybe some listening might strike home today. If we come upon an accident, we come upon something that potentially needed emergency services, what should we do? Do we dial and call? Do we video and chat? Do we try to assist? What would be the responsible, respectful, appropriate thing to do as a non-trained professional? So a doctor, a nurse, an EMT could probably respond appropriately. For those of us who don't, what would be the thing to do that would be appropriate?
So I'm glad you actually touched on that, because this is some of the information that we would like to get up for EMS Week. And that is, if you're an untrained person, please, we don't expect you to jeopardize your safety. So pick up the phone and dial 911. We like to refer to our 911 operators as our guardian angels, because they're there to keep us safe. So pick up the phone, dial 911, and just provide our emergency communication center with as much information as possible. If there are wires down, if there is a puddle of fluid on the road surface, just describe to them what you were seeing, and they will then in turn convey that information to us so that we can do our jobs as safely as we possibly can.
So provide information, as much information as possible about the scene, not about your preferences, but what you had for dinner, where you were. Focus on the scene.
Exactly,
yes.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Exactly.
And just to touch on what Jay said, like sometimes, you hear it a lot with the public that, 911 got me on the phone too long. No, please be with 911. Just try and get the information to pass on to RCIP, to fire, to EMS, to whoever that agent have to get that information. So just bear with 911. They just, they're behind the desk and they're just going off the information they're getting from you to pass on to the agencies.
All right. When we come back from our news, as you continue to take us through some of the more things we'll ask about training, we will get to that issue of to what extent being a small community hub is affecting us. How you guys share more with us.
Okay.
For those who are listening, if you want more information, if you want to perhaps address something that is pertinent to it so that we can be more appreciative, more respectful, perhaps more cognizant, well, 949-8037 or 949-6990. After the break, we'll ask you to rejoin us as we continue our conversation.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Cayman Islands Airports Authority promotes Ground Transport Officer Mark Wallace to Ground Transport Supervisor. Mr. Wallace joined the CIAA on the 18th of March 2013 as a Ground Transport Officer. In his new role, he will be responsible for leading a team to provide dispatch services for ground transportation at the Owen Roberts International Airport, as well as ensuring a safe and orderly flow of vehicular traffic, along with conducting briefings and preparing various internal reports. In international headlines, a former soccer coach at the University of Southern California has pleaded guilty to creating fake athletic profiles for the children of wealthy parents in the college admissions bribery scheme. Lori Yankee pled guilty today in Boston federal court to conspiracy to commit racketeering. Authorities say the former assistant women's soccer coach helped make bogus athletic profiles to get applicants admitted to universities as recruits for sports that they didn't even play. U.S. officials list $300 billion more of Chinese goods for possible tariff hikes, while Beijing vowed today to fight to the finish in an escalating trade battle that is fueling fears about damage to global economic growth. After Beijing announced tariff hikes to $60 billion of American goods in the spiraling dispute over Chinese technology ambitions and other irritants. Chinese authorities were reacting to President Donald Trump's surprise decision last week to impose punitive duties on $200 billion of imports from China.
Mrs. Wiggins, I wonder if you... Mrs. Wiggins, don't press down on your button when I'm talking.
Tim Conway, the stellar second banana to Carol Burnett, who won 4 Emmy Awards on her TV variety show, died this morning after a long illness in Los Angeles. He was 85. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. I am, if you forgive me for saying so, very, very proud of our country and our people, and I expect and hopefully will continue to raise the bar. Kendall, if you don't mind me and you sort of join in saying, fine young man, we can still be young, right?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. From our EMS, my good friend Kendall Corner, together with J.S. Wilson and Dan Powell. I think we voted during the break, Mr. Faber.
Yeah.
What do you think? So, hey, listen, if I can't give you grief today, I might get a chance tomorrow. So you get it today. But this is the beautiful part about, there's a perception that is within the sort of the environment, the profession that you're in. But there's a strong competence and skill set and training and continuing training. Kendall, you've been, what you say, close to 40 years now?
Not too far, but 26 years.
And I take license with you because I remember, your passion and interest early on. And I think if this isn't, hopefully, it certainly isn't meant to, but hopefully it isn't. We look at our education system. Thankfully, it's evolved. Early days, you might like something, but you might see a scope, you mightn't have the interests. You might have the level of guidance as a youngster 10, 20 years ago. But today there's opportunity. You've taken that, you've parlayed it into, you've been, I would say, not only effective, but hopefully still very happy with what you do.
Yes, I am doing, definitely. I'm very excited still, every day it's, that drive to come to work, And, the one good thing about EMS, every call, it may be 3, chest pain, but those chest pains are 3 different chest pains, so you're treating it different and everything.
Yeah.
So it's never a dull moment in it, I just love assisting,
It's something different. I mean, when I think of maybe you're sitting there in the ER, you're somewhere at the hospital and the ambulance comes in, or you may be the patient. You may be there with the patient, whatever it is, to know that we have people who are passionate but also who are professional, people who are not only compassionate but also competent. And end of the day, they're vested in our community.
Yes.
But I'm hopeful that we're going to be, respectful and accommodating and make sure that your jobs are safe.
Yes.
So as we go through EMS week, we're celebrating it. Is it next week doing start off the holiday and get into it on Tuesday?
So EMS week is going to be the week of the 21st. It's celebrated pretty much world over. It starts on Monday. However, here for us, that's a public holiday. So the 20th is a public holiday. So we're going to kick it off on Tuesday. So Tuesday is going to be one of our community days. We have different booths that we're going to set up at different locations. We have one confirmed right now, which is Hurley's in Grand Harbor. And from 11 to 1, we're going to be there. We're going to be showcasing just some things for us to offer to the community. One of those is going to be hands-only CPR. And that's very, very important.
Yeah.
That came about in 2015. The American Heart Association, which is what governs us as it relates to new CPR and cardiac guidelines, heart guidelines, they came out with hands-only CPR. The rationale behind that is when we're here talking and we still have an excess amount of oxygen that is actually within the bloodstream. However, if your heart stops, the oxygen is still in the bloodstream. However, it needs to be circulated throughout the rest of the body. So that's why hands-on only CPR came in. So we're going to do a quick 3-minute session in regards to hands-on CPR. There is a quick stop the bleed seminar that we're going to do, and again, that is for someone who may encounter a traumatic injury of some sort where there could be lots of blood loss. We're going to show you how to appropriately deal with that. And child safety. Unfortunately, we've noticed throughout the years that there's been a significant increase as it relates to children being injured, for example, in motor vehicle accidents. So we're just going to provide the members of the community with a little bit of information as it relates to how to appropriately buckle up your children that are in child safety seats, children who are too old or have gone past the weight limit for the child safety seat, a booster seat, and if not, how to properly secure them in a regular seat. With the seatbelt on and stuff like that. So just those 3 main things is where we really and truly want to focus on because we have seen differences in the community. So we want to empower the people in the community to actually be able to help those. If you see someone injured, you see someone that's actually having a cardiac event, you have a level of information, a level of knowledge for you to actually contribute and assist them.
Now, not to add too much more to this case, but what about the use of AEDs? We're knowing that they're becoming perhaps more accessible.
Yes, within the community, yes, they are. What we're going to do is throughout EMS week, we are going to have a raffle. So we have some of our instructors within EMS who are American Heart CPR first aid instructors. We will have a raffle session where we will award 16 people from within the community at random the opportunity to come in, and we will teach you a full-on certified American Heart Association CPR class. So that is something that we want to give back to the people within the community. There's going to be a way for us to select those persons. We will have our manager, Mr. Stephen Duval. It's going to be him and some of the other EMS committee, EMS Week committee members. We're going to be doing some of the selection for those persons so that they can be trained. But we're going to discuss more about that during EMS Week itself. We're going to offer that.
Yeah, that's important. I think, having CPR, we did it through Dufgid, where we've done it through other things. And not only being certified, but keeping up the certification, the notion of hands only, just the compressions alone in itself.
Yes.
But there are people who, for whatever reason, don't want to do the mouth-to-mouth. They might not have the guard, they might, I don't know him. There's all sorts of things come into play. Some people, they don't stop to think. They see an emergency, they respond. Others, well, they have a bit of reticence. Having the compression, getting the circulation, but doing it properly.
Yes, yes.
All right. It's little things that I think strengthens us and makes us better. But you were chatting equally about the issue of child safety. Do we have we got a car seat, but is the child properly secured in the car seat?
Exactly.
Do we have the right car seat for that child that has now grown up? Because they can be expensive. We think, I'm not going far. Mr. Paul? I still have a booster in my car. So I can see where I'm going. It's like, can I say, I saw it,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I do have the booster seat, but sometimes I don't put them on the booster seat. I don't buckle them, which is a bad practice, but it is extremely important. That little 10 seconds that you're going to take to just buckle them in, it could save their lives. It doesn't matter how far you're going. You could just go half a mile or up the road. Something can happen.
All right. Well, in the studio, we have, Kendall Connor, we have Jace Wilson, and Dan Powell. Gents, as we talk about this week, we do have a call online. Now, this could be the turtle meat dinner. This could be Kung Stew. I'm not sure. Let's see what we got. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You want to talk today?
This is the chocolate dessert.
Oh, even better. Woo, dark, decadent chocolate. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Sterling.
How are you today?
Good afternoon. Fine. Good afternoon to the panel.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I was listening off and on, and I just caught that piece in regards to seatbelts for children and so forth and car seats. I just want to say that to us, I speak here in the Cayman Islands. My heart gets so full when I see people driving with their kids in their cars. It has no seatbelt on, and it has no child seat for them to sit in. And they sometimes have them on their lap or between their legs while they're driving their cars, which I think is so dangerous. I can't see how a parent can go and make a child and bring it here after 9 months and take it and destroy it behind in an accident because they didn't secure the child properly in the vehicle. And to say this, we're not allowed to use our phones on the road while we're driving. But you can see a person driving and holding a dog in one arm, hanging out the window, and the other arm is on the steering wheel. When it comes to safety and taking measures and safety and precautions on this island, I think it needs to be looked into more. I'm not going to say that you guys are fully responsible for that, but I'm just throwing it out there just to see how our children is being treated when the parents have them or the grandparents or whoever have them in their vehicles while they are on the road driving. And I think that we need to make that more mandatory, that these children are in seat belts or in a car seat properly. And I think the police officers, when they see people with children, they should stop them and check them to see how that child is secure, because it is dangerous. I just want to leave that with you guys.
Yes, it is. Speaking of kids in the front seat, a lot of people don't know that a small child of less than 90 pounds can be severely hurt by the airbag. And nowadays, the cars are not just having airbags in the front, but they're on the side panels. And if I'm correct, the airbags are deployed at 60 miles per hour, and your kid is going to impact that. And a lot of studies show that kids that are on the front seat break their neck. And as a parent, you don't want that. Just put them in the back seat, the booster seat. Although, I like what I said, it takes 10 seconds, it can save your child's life.
And I think it's a practice. We look at our children, we may say they are a certain age, but what size are they? They may be safer in the back seat, as you shared.
Yes.
Is it, the child's ego or whatever it is, or is it the child's safety? Now, for what it's worth, some parents I know will say to the child, pretend that you're being chauffeured, sit in the back and I will sit in the front. Yeah. Whatever it takes for that child's safety. There are some children that are very young, but what is to call a scandal? Husky? Young. So they're bigger, but then there's some who may be 14, 15, but they're tall and lanky. They're small.
Yeah.
So it's their safety. So the child's safety is important. All right. One final break, Miss Susan? And then that chocolate? You heard her promising? No. All right, Jess, when we come back, will you just take us through and continue sharing with us as we talk about EMS Week? Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Have you just completed a weekend cleanup project? Do you plan to dispose of old appliances, electronics, or even hazardous waste? Dispose of these items at the 24-hour drop-off site located at the entrance of the Georgetown landfill. This site is open to the public daily for your convenience. Do your part. Keep Cayman clean. For more tips on proper waste handling, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much. We are having fun, and this is what it's like to work in the medical profession. Yeah, you work hard, but you laugh louder.
Right.
Kendall, Jace, Adan, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm hoping that as parents, as we encourage our children to get into law and into medicine and get into education and engineering, that we are as inclusive and as, if possible, as exhaustive as possible when we talk to our children of the different career options. And EMT, we heard from Dr. Brown earlier, you work on shift. Like the nurses, you're leaving your families, whether they're under the weather, you're sometimes called in on your day off. You may have to work an extended hour. It can be challenging. Mm-hmm. For what it's worth, just from me, thanks very much, for the job you do. I know many of us are appreciative to the public. If you're offended, it isn't my intent to offend you, but if you see the ambulance, the fire truck, even the police car, the siren is going, get out of the way safely. Mm-hmm. Let the emergency vehicle go through. Right. Is that fair enough to say? Is that okay?
Yeah. Pull to the left and stop.
Just pull careful and safely.
Try not to record.
Okay, yeah. Get on the scene. Use your phone to call for help. Anyway, I believe I could, for one day, shut down all of the cell phones, videoing. If it wasn't for emergency and necessary purposes, I believe I would. That's the most frustrating. Anyway. One pet peeve I have. All right, EMS Week. Take us through some of the things that are happening, how we as a public can benefit and participate. Mr. Connor?
Okay, let's continue what Jace left off there. Just touch back on Tuesday, the 21st, we'll be at Grand Harbor Hurlers. Correct. We have that one confirmed, trying to get other places, but for now it'll be Grand Harbor from 11 until 1 p.m. Wednesday, May the 22nd, going to be the Children's Day, including visits to all the school, as much school as we can get in. We would like to get all of them, but we know we're not going to be able to. But we're going to definitely get in as much as possible for that day to, show the children, the little hands-on CPR again, seatbelt safety, when to call 911, when not to call 911, but whatever you think you're on the outside, they call 911 to be on the safe side, so I won't tell you when not to call 911. Then Thursday, May the 23rd, we'll be having a retreat. They're going to be in East End. My district.
Backyard.
Yeah. So we're gonna be having a retreat in East End for the EMS staff members that day, and that's sponsored by Tuca in East End. Thanks to Chef Ron. He's always willing to help wherever he can. And then Friday, May 24th, will be the EMS luncheon. Award ceremony at the West End Hotel. Thanks, very big shout out to the West End, for putting this on for us, and they're always willing to help us also. So, that's for the EMS week concludes then on Friday. And just last before I go, and also we have a few letters, looking for some sponsorships, for prize drawing, no cash, just whatever you can give. So if anybody having anything they want to give us for, prize drawing, they can feel free to contact Jace Wilson at 929-8675 or myself, Kendall Connor, 925-8992. Or if you forget, those numbers, okay, we have Mr. Dwayne Starley. You can call Radio Cayman and just, give him, whatever
information
for us.
Okay. Yeah, certainly do call Mr. Paul.
I do not remember his number.
That was close. Susan has it, though. You can get it from her later. No, but and this is, as you shared, why the community corporate sponsors come out and assist them with gift certificates so that we can get a chance, to recognize and reward the public, but also the great work of the EMS. And it is as amazing, I think, the opportunities. Jace, we're looking at the conversation. I've enjoyed the discussion. I've laughed maybe a little bit too much after this. Susan probably report me to Miss Norman and say, he was laughing. He forgot he was working. So I'll take it as it comes. But for those who are looking at maybe wanting to have a conversation with their children, maybe those who are thinking, I wouldn't mind entering this profession. It is a lot of training, a lot of discipline and dedication, but it is rewarding. You make a meaningful impact. Yes. You mentioned earlier there was, EMS, advanced EMS, and a paramedic, and the different levels. What are they? What are the differences? Just remind us, please.
Okay. Thank you. One of the areas that I actually forgot to mention earlier, and I know we're going to have some of our EMRs, which is our emergency medical responders. So they're trained to a higher level than that of just a regular first aider. Some of those personnel we actually have in the RCIPS's Air Operations Unit. They assist us quite a lot. We also have some of those staff members embedded into the Tactical Firearms Unit for the RCIPS. We are in talks right now to actually provide that training to the Cayman Islands Fire Service, because again, the Cayman Islands Fire Service, they are our big brother. They assist us on a daily basis with many, many different tasks. So that's a training program that we're trying to bring online to train up the fire service. And again, that's a discussion that's still going on with my manager and senior manager with the fire department. So that's something that's in the future for them. But the basic level, which is the EMT, again, it's roughly about 4.5 months worth of training. And as Adan said earlier, for the most part, we don't do medical training here on island. All of the staff members we have here are accredited and certified. We have to travel off island to a training institute, and we receive the training there. Advanced EMT would just be a step up above that, and that is where you can actually perform more invasive tasks. So performing IVs, and we're talking about intubating people, and I'm doing many different advanced techniques. Now at the paramedic level, that's where they can do a slew of things. They literally have they have all the tricks in their bag, so to speak, So normally I would want to always have a paramedic pretty much there at all times. But for the most part, that's what we have. We provide 24/7 full paramedic coverage. There will always be a paramedic on duty at some point or another. If not, we have our advanced EMTs, and they perform tasks similar to that of a paramedic.
Okay, so they're advanced, and then you see the EMR would be then above the paramedic?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, the EMR, that would be almost like the entry level.
Okay.
So we're also trying to encourage the volunteer aspect of EMS. So that's another area that we're thinking about incorporating, the emergency medical responder. So again, it's below an EMT level, but it gives you more training, more knowledge than that of a regular first aider. You're able to provide, oxygen, and if someone's in a car accident, you can provide you with the necessary training for you to apply a C-collar appropriately, those types of things. And then from there, from EMR, we have EMT, basic, then we have advanced EMT, then we have paramedic.
Yeah. And to become a trained paramedic, just initially, how long?
It all depends. We have some persons who have gone through what's called a condensed version. Now, that is literally every single day, from sun up until sundown, you live in the classroom. And that normally runs between 9 months to 13, 14 months, and that is the condensed program. And the other programs that are out there range from 2 to 4 years. Like I said, the condensed program, you really need to be switched on. That's a word that we like to use. You really and truly need to be switched on in order to endure the condensed program, because it is literally
intense.
From sun, very, very intense. From sun up until sundown, you eat, sleep, breathe, school.
If it's not inopportune, I think every sort of profession, I believe, is a calling, and there are certain things you know whether you like it or don't like it. Is there particular skill sets, a particular sort of mindset, attributes that a person would have, and when they evaluate this, I would be good for this. Like, for instance, eating chocolate, I know I would be perfect. For me, when Kendall would talk about emergency to call 911, not to call, if I look and I see there isn't any, that's the emergency, but no, it isn't. So is there something that, as a person is considering professional choices, that an EMT would possess, a paramedic that may be peculiar to those people?
Well, first and foremost, I would say if you have the willingness or the desire to actually serve within your community, because Dan touched on it earlier, this is a very unique way for us to be able to serve within our community. And I mean, if I get to see 26 years like Mr. Kendall, I will be over the moon. Like I said, I only have 12. And again, to echo Mr. Kendall, every day that I put on my uniform, it's a joy. It is a privilege, it's a joy to go to work. I don't consider it a job. This is a passion for me.
But he still needs a paycheck. So those are I just teasing. No, but it is a joy, and I can see that with you guys.
Yeah. So again, if you have that love, that drive, that passion, then by all means. But one of the things that we encourage, leaving school wise and following in the week, we actually have the job fair on Thursday. This is what we're going to be saying to some of the students. For those of you who do not like science or do not like English, you need to try and work very, very hard with English and science, because that plays a very, very significant part within the medical field itself. And it does apply to EMS. So those two things right off the top, I would encourage persons, if you have that drive, you have that passion, then by all means. However, coming out of school, please, strive to get, the highest grades as you possibly can for English and science, and that will greatly assist you.
Wow. So, can I see you brought one for the looks, you brought one for the so, I promise you, after today, I'll be here. No, I'm very proud of what you guys do, where you've come, and to see how not only the continued striving to make it better, but your continued investment in your education, and it only makes us better. It makes us more comfortable, because we have the confidence that when there's the ambulance pulling up, we know there are people in there who are not only concerned about, but have the skill sets. Mr. Powell, as we look at closing thoughts, what would you want to share as we celebrate EMS Week, as we look at the profession? What thoughts?
All right, well, with EMS Week, just to get the public's attention on EMS itself, we try to encourage everyone, to be safe, have fun, but like we said, be safe. And that's what I want to finish with. Be safe.
No videoing, okay.
No videoing also.
Mr. Kendall, what about you, sir? Any Any sort of parting thoughts, sir?
Just to rebut what Mr. Powell was saying, just like to see the public try their best, to continue. We can get that message out there from the 21st to the 24th, and not just those 3 or 4 days. We want to continue doing it, yearly round, so that the public keep on the, the toes and, the surrounding and seeing what's going on, So, just keep safe and, try your best and, know what to do, when to do, and how to do it.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Okay. So, again, for the EMTs and paramedics that work with us, they're our brothers and sisters. Thank you all very much for, the hard work and effort that you do. And again, just to echo the sentiments that have been said before, for the community just to, one thing when you see the ambulance, just try your best and pull to the left. That's one of the things that we really and truly want to strive for, as Mr. Kendall said. And just to be safe in your travels throughout the community, throughout your day-to-day activities. That's all we can ask for.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And for the public, if you don't mind us repeating it, certainly understand there's no disrespect intended, but heed, to the emergency services. If the vehicle is coming, lights, and siren, pull safely and quickly to the left, to the side, and let the vehicle go through. That's perhaps the least we can do. Right? Gents, thank you very much. Continue to enjoy your profession. May you be rewarded. May you be safe, and may you be able to encourage others to follow in your footsteps. Now, to our listeners, nurses, EMTs, the medical profession, let's show deference, let's show appreciation, let's be civil in our interaction and engagement, even if we are a bit distraught. Let's try to see if we can retain some level of civility. Now, join us tomorrow for our talk today, right after the midday news and midday meditation. The plan is to chat with our good friends from the Lions. DJ Lynn is coming along with his fellow Lion. 12:30, our Family Resource Centre should be part of the free. And then 1 o'clock, get a chance to talk to DCFS. And I'm working on something with the National Weather Service for 1:30. And then, of course, I'm still waiting on a chocolate from Susan, but that's tomorrow. Start things out in the morning, for the record, with Mr. Art. And in all you do, be safe and be blessed.
Voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above. We love our listeners. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.